Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
I'm delighted to welcome now the chair of the Whalesong Charitable Trust, Marco Zeeman. Good morning and welcome to you. We have made it.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Yes, I think I've explained the fact that, as I said, we both turned up in different places yesterday. However, because Marco thought that the arrangement I'd made was go to the site of Whalesong.
The information centre down in the mall.
Oh, I see. The
Whalesong Information Centre in Coastlands Mall.
Goodness me, where is that? I haven't noticed it. Mind you, they don't let me out much.
It's in the old jeweller shop directly opposite Tank, the juice bar, down by Paper Plus and the BNZ.
Down there by Paper Plus and the pharmacy.
Yep.
Right, okay. So there's an information centre. It's getting very exciting. But, Marco, I've got to ask where this audacious plan for 7 life-size humpback whales in a park with lots of wonderful plans and exciting possibilities. Where on earth did this come from, this audacious idea?
Well, the sculpture was first mooted in about 12 years ago, and Mike Fuller's the artist, the inspirational sculptor that's decided that we need to relink to our past on Kapiti, and humpbacks are hugely appropriate for that. Mike came up with this idea, and unfortunately 12 years ago it was promoted as requiring ratepayer funding, which pretty much made it hugely difficult to get off the ground. So 3 years ago we instigated the Whalesong Charitable Trust, and on that basis we decided right at the beginning that for the project to proceed there will be no ratepayer funding required, and we'll do all of the funding privately through sponsorship, through donations, and then once we've reached a certain criteria, we will then be talking with the Lottery's Significant Grants Fund, who we've been talked to for the last couple of years. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to fund the balance of it through lotteries. If not, we'll continue raising the funds. We're certainly on our way with the major sculpture, with one of the whales committed in full scale, and that is a 24-metre whale, so they're not little, and when there's 7 of them, it will be spectacular.
Oh, it'll be amazing, absolutely amazing. So I've got to ask the question, let's get the money thing out of the way. How much?
Well, our original budget was around $7.5 million. We believe that's now coming down with a new technique that we're looking at. We were originally going to be looking at casting them in aluminium, and we recently had a meeting with Sir Richard Taylor out at Weta, and Jamie Selkirk and team, and we discussed a foundry that Richard has formed a relationship with in China, and they make things out of stainless steel. And when he saw Whalesong and the scale involved, I mean, the whales will take up a 1-acre site, so it will be the biggest sculpture in New Zealand, and that's the sort of thing that really interests Richard Taylor. We're keen on looking into that, and if it looks the best way to go, and it's certainly sounding like it, then the costs are certainly coming down.
Well, and you've just mentioned a name to conjure there.
Yes.
Richard Taylor, as you say, from Weta, and of course involved in some wonderful movies. Isn't it neat the way this kind of thing can bring expertise together, how it can attract expertise? And I'm looking at you as well, because Marco, former Wellingtonian of the Year, been involved in the arts for many, many years, and you've got many, many skills. How did you get involved in this?
Probably through friendships. I've got quite a number of artistic friends, and we started with the Sculpture Symposium in Frankett's Park, which we did 10 years of successful symposia. During that time we invited for each symposia 20 offshore artists, sculptors, to mingle with 20 local artists from around New Zealand, and we would provide them with either 2-ton blocks of Oamaru stone or andesite or macrocarpa logs, and they would spend 2 to 3 weeks carving them, and then we'd put them on display. So we would take over Frankett's Park for about 2 months. Every 2 years. So it was really exciting to be part of that. I came on originally as a sponsor and as one of the founding trustees. And from there there on, I've really been keen on supporting all the arts. Really, I just see art as being integral to society, and having connections throughout society is usually through art. So it's a cool thing to be part of.
Oh, it's cool. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, if I'd turned up at the site yesterday, I would still have been in the wrong place, apparently. So where is the site? Where is this going to happen?
The physical site, we have a lease with Ngāhina Developments, who represent Pukitapu Haputiatiawa, who are the iwi of that land. So we have a 1 acre site which is just off Ahakara Street, bounding the corner of the Wharemakau stream. And there's another stream which kicks in behind Spotlight that also joins in there. So we have that site. We have a 100-year perpetual lease for the whales, and my philosophy has always been that the whales can't stand alone, so we needed to really work on the bigger picture. So we pulled a meeting with Guru and all of the landowners that were relevant in the area, and had a requirement to develop lakes, because for any development to happen on all that land between Coastlands Council and the expressway, they need to handle the stormwater. So when we're talking lakes, we thought, well, let's have a lake, let's merge the whales into that lake, so potentially they could be half in the lake, half out of the lake. And then the Marae are very keen on having a presence, so we're hopefully looking at building a cultural centre as well for Pukitapu, which will be hugely exciting, because the history of Kapiti is so integral to New Zealand's beginnings, and people don't realise how key Kapiti is. The first exports out of New Zealand were from here, and it was whale oil, so commerce started here. We've got one of the oldest primary schools, if not the oldest, in Paraparamu. We have some very important beginnings that we need to tell a story about. Kapiti Island, obviously a key icon for Kapiti, had 2,000 people living on it in the 1800s, whalers. While they were out there was only two things that they were doing, and that was catching whales and making babies. So from 2,000 people comes a hell of a lot of mokopuna who have spread throughout our community. And the most exciting thing for me at our opening last Wednesday was those cousins coming together for the first time. William Jenkins, famous whaler, 20 children, 8 from his Maori wife and 12 from his Pākehā wife. We had descendants at the opening Wednesday morning, which I have to say was skin tingling. It was hugely emotional. The horns, Guru blew his horn beautifully. I've never seen a horn blown so well. Thank you, Guru, and the rest of the team that were there providing the sounds. Don, the kaumatua, the karakia that sang out through the mall, that all the people around the mall spoke to me about afterwards. They were all at work and they could hear this karakia singing through the mall. It was spine tingling. It was very amazing. But coming back to those descendants, we had 4 Maori descendants from William Jenkins and 2 from the Pākehā wife, and they met for the first time. So these are cousins shaking hands who didn't know they existed. So, and the following days we've seen many whaling descendants come in and talk to us. So the community's already connecting, and those connections will just continue.
Well, isn't it a beautiful picture? The origins of our community bringing people together.
That's what art does.
That is exactly what art does. And this is such an exciting project. Marco, I can't think of a similar project in the country. Is there one, do you think?
Well, there's Gibbs's Farm, of course, but the philanthropic money there is huge. So, yes. And there's a new sculpture park being designed in Auckland, I understand. And there are other large sculptural pieces around. There's Michael Hill's golf course. And these things all attract people. I refer to the angel effect, which is the angel of the north in the UK.
Oh, yes.
An immense sculpture, of course. But Gateshead wasn't much of a town in those days before the angel came along, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar glistening economy, and they call that the angel effect.
That's right. That's wonderful. By the way, if you watch the Vera program on telly, that's all set around Gateshead, and often that particular statue features because
and the Kelpies.
And the kelpies, indeed.
Yes.
One of the reasons that I love this is that I have the hope it's going to provide the heart for Paraparaumu, because we don't have one.
That's right.
We've had that great gap in the middle, this great cavity in the string of pearls we keep talking about, but one of them's got this great big gap. And this will partially fill it. And I've got a feeling it's going to give the place context and also attract people off the expressway into the community. And that's got a commercial context, hasn't it?
And the beauty of whale song is not just about attracting them into Paraparaumu, but it's about attracting them into our wider community. So for me, whale song will lead people to the likes of Naumanu.
Yes.
People will then want to extend that to Kapiti Island, and to potentially the new visitor centre is going to help cope with that. I think that having a visitor centre for Kapiti Island somewhere is a great idea. Obviously, we're still working through that. But I see whale song as being a signpost to all of the potential places you can go. If you need food, you're right next to a lot of food. The landowners around that potential lake are talking about alfresco dining, so building restaurants around the lake. It's creating a central park that we're proud of. So the other week, on Thursday, I had the Kapiti Horticultural Society come through, and they're very keen on being involved in the park. So there's already engagement going on. It's very exciting.
I don't think I've been so excited for years. My skin is literally tingling as I contemplate what the opportunity is. So you have funding for the first whale. I understand a couple have donated the money for the first whale. Yep. Do you start the project with the one whale, or do you wait until all of the funding is in and do it with a big bang?
I think we need to secure funding for three of the whales, and that sets us up with more than a third of the funding required for us then to talk directly with lotteries. If we can obviously find those who wish to leave a legacy on the coast, it's a huge commitment, obviously. A 24-metre, they range from 5 metres to 24 metres long, so that's even the little whale is big. So committing to the production of one of those is a very generous thing to do, and certainly would leave a long-term legacy on the coast. So if we can fund all the whales through locals who feel that they want to leave that legacy, that would be even more amazing. That would mean the community is 150% behind the project. So we're seeking funders. We're seeking private donors. We're seeking anyone who wants to make a smaller donation. For those who make a donation over $500, we'll reflect that with a wee gift back with a whale that they can keep. And depending whether the value of that donation, it'll be a 3D printed whale that we're now printing in the mall with the biggest 3D printer in New Zealand, or it'll be a bronze for a higher donation, and we'll give a wee bronze whale as a thank you. So those who are interested in making this happen, that live on our coast, come down and see us at the information centre and talk to me as the chair of the trust, or any one of the other people attending, and we'll connect and we'll make it happen.
What a legacy to leave that would be,
isn't it?
So, guesstimating, you would want to have something like $4 million before you go to lottery, something like that?
2.5.
Oh, really?
Somewhere around there. Well, depending. We're now we're rebudgeting. Basically, the sculptures are now being costed for us in the new method. So we'll have a new costing coming through, and if it drops to where I think we're probably needing, to, like I say, 3 to 4 whales in the bag, and then we can go forward. And I'm confident. We're already, we've got some very key players on board, and they are keen to bring others with them. It's hugely exciting. We wouldn't be doing the display if we weren't, hugely 100% confident that it's going to happen. Well, we have our lease on the land. There has to be a lake.
Yes.
Puketapu, we want a presence.
Yes.
How do we stop that?
Well, we're not going to stop that, that's for sure. No way are we going to stop that.
Yeah.
So are we confident enough to predict some sort of a timeline?
I'd like to think we certainly are making, either moving towards finished or not, I don't know, but 3 years is in my head.
Wow.
And the other trustees. So, if we can tick it in 3 years and say we've done it, there's a lot to do before then. There's a lot of landscape architecture work to go around the design of the park, the lake, how the lake works with the Wharemakau stream, how we tidy up the ditch that is called the Wharemakau stream.
Yes, it is a ditch.
I'm really excited with that. My time at Zealandia as the facilities manager there, sort of leads me to believe that stream definitely needs some TLC.
You think?
I mean, I live at the beginning of it, and I have eels and things up there, which is cool. But I think it needs to have a bit of a facelift, and I think that will come with this. So hugely exciting for the public.
Hugely exciting. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure, and I'm delighted that we persisted and had this coming together, not only of voice, but also, I hope, minds, because I'm 100% on board. That's wonderful. Marco Zeeman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Marco is chair of the Whale Song Charitable Trust.
106.3 Beach FM.